What's up? My name's Glue Boy. Welcome back to the channel, and still mech week. So today we get to talk about the kind of flipped mirror version of the Imperial Knights and the way cooler Knights, the Chaos Knights. Now, Chaos Knights are pretty similar to like just what you see on the tin is what you get. You take a knight and you add a bunch of spikes, skulls, and birds. Can't forget about the birds. And you have a Chaos Knight. Ta-da! Well done. Perfect. Because essentially, they really are, lore-wise, just knights, but evil. And that's a lot of what I'm going to be saying today, but there's some so really fun, goofy stuff that I'll mention. Because, like, first and foremost, Imperial Knights go through the thing, the Ritual of Becoming, where you jack into your Throne Mechanicum for the first time, and you experience the awful, just neural simulation of all your ancestors, all their memories, their emotions, all that stuff. A day that's so bad you almost die. And the key part there is the fact that your ancestors are in the Throne Mechanicum with you, and your own personality is being altered. Because there's an evil version of the Ritual of Becoming, and that's the Warped Becoming, where the evil knights go through it with the Dark Mechanicum, which is essentially the Ritual of Becoming, but a lot more screaming, demons, and spikes. And you go through that transformation, and it becomes a bit worse, because Chaos Knight pilots look like this, and they're actually fused to their Throne Mechanicum inside of a absolutely hellish form of a mutation where you're more flesh and metal, just becomes the same thing. You are fused to your mech, and you kind of become one with it in a way, and a lot of mech pilots lose their absolute sanity. For one big reason too, because all of those little personalities, they're still there, and really early on, they are screaming at you endlessly. Because imagine, you make the decision, you know what, fuck the Imperium, fuck the Mechanicus, I'm doing my own thing, I like chaos. Khorne is pretty cool. And then you have your entire ancestral lineage screaming in your head of how you're a moron, how you're betraying everything, how you're awful and like horrible person. That does a number on your sanity. And this part also gets corrupted. Because as chaos seeps its way into the Throne Mechanicum and into all aspects of the night, they start to become more like wraiths and geist-like and become this malevolent force that they can actually channel and use in some way. Like a lesser version of Aragorn with all the ghosts that he summons. Kind of like a lesser version of that. But in particular, there's a fun little short quote that I'm going to read about the Warped Becoming because I think it's pretty metal, honestly. Open your heart to hatred. Open your mind to fury. Open your soul to the dark ones. Let not your forebears stand between you and the power that is offered. The sun is set on the age of chivalry, and the night that is to come belongs to those with the strength to assert their rule. That is Chaos Knights for you. Because the key part of that is the part of you that gets altered. Because when it comes to the regular knights and their connection to the Throne Mechanicum, it begins to change parts of their personality. As in they become a lot more virtuous, a lot more honor-bound, they have that sense of duty. Now, that part is corrupted when it's a Chaos Knight and Chaos Corruption is seeping its way into your mech, as this becomes more of destruction, violence, subjugation. It becomes a lot of those evil thoughts that feed the gods directly. And to the point where a lot of Knight pilots, if they're not aligned to a specific house, and maybe keep a little bit more of their personality, like the Dreadblades. The Dreadblades a lot of times completely lose themselves and become rampaging monsters that just walk into a location and kill everything in front of it. When it comes to Chaos Knights, there are three distinctions for them. You have your Iconoclast, your Infernal Houses, and your Dreadblades. And each one of them, Iconoclast, is your basic, it's a Knight house that's turned evil. Your Infernal Houses are ones that swore themselves to the Dark Mechanicus rather than the Mechanicus themselves, and primarily this comes across, they're a lot more demon-y. There's demons involved somehow with them. Then you have your Dreadblades. A lot of these come from, say, a Loyalist house that betrayed the house and went on its merry way, a knight that just kind of broke away and is now a rampaging monster that inflicts so much destruction that even Khorne sheds a tear in the warp. But first up, Iconoclast. Like I said, they're Imperial Knight houses, but evil. A lot of them as well is not fully because they decided today's the day to be evil, gentlemen. They have some vows that they make. Because a big important thing to knights is their oaths and their vows. They are very seriously. When they make that oath, it is unbreaking, undying. like House Lusarius, who made a vow to Horus way back in the day. They were discovered by Horus, and so they pledged their fealty to Horus himself. When he turned traitor, they stuck right alongside him, because they had to. That's their oath. And even this went so far as to when Horus, got poofed away by the Emperor, and Abaddon took over to create the Black Legion, they declared war on the Black Legion because Abaddon was sullying the honor of Horus and betrayed him. This fell a bit less, honestly. They're kind of now buddy-buddy again, which I'm a little annoyed about. I like the idea that they're still warring against the Black Legion, even though I'm a giant Black Legion fanboy. I don't know. I prefer that old lore. Alternatively, some of them also just want to fight for their independence and have kind of fallen into chaos. Like House Herpa, one that if I was going to play a full Chaos Knight army, I would probably go with Herpa, because their entire thing is, when they were discovered kind of recently, honestly, they immediately were like, fuck you, we're not kneeling to no Emperor of Mankind, go away. Because they actually multiple times throughout their discovery, people kept coming up and being like, hello, it is me, I'm the Imperium of Man, I'm the Emperor, what's up, swear fealty to me, like fake emperors. So they would just strike them down. It's like, no, we're not kneeling. And also a big reason, they were worshiping chaos the whole time. So they were chaos worshippers who refused to kneel, and their big whole thing is independence. They just want to do their own thing. And then you have the Infernal Houses, which are aligned with the Dark Mechanicus, Chaos Mechanicus, which sadly don't have a presence on the tabletop, except through Chaos Knights. Or there's some demons involved. And this happens in a couple ways. There's one that I really like, House Corax, because Be'lakor, the first prince, this fucking big demon man, he decided it'd be a hoot and holler if he had knights. So he took over a planet and subjugated the knight house that was on it, corrupted them to chaos, and now has a bunch of demon-influenced chaos knights that work for him. Like, they're pretty dope. And then there's another really fun one, that being House Commentus. They're fucking great. Essentially, the Night Pilots allow a demon to possess them as like a spiritual guide. So essentially, they're a Russian nesting doll of mech pilots, because the demon pilots the pilot, and then the pilot pilots the mech. It's so fucking dumb. I love it so much. And then lastly, we got the Dreadblades, and the Dreadblades, so fucking cool. Like, the Dreadblades are honestly, I think, the best part. Like, reading about the Dreadblades is super fun, because a lot of them are either mercenaries for hire, or just kind of like mindless walls of destruction that like the Chaos Marines follow around because they know good fun is having in the Night's wake, or like cultists follow in their treads worshiping the whole way because they see these Dreadblades as like manifestations of their dark gods, or they have basically chained up just those the workers that used to be part of them when they were loyalist, kind of just following them around to endlessly work away at the mech suit and like repair it when it's needed. They're just kind of forced to follow along. And there's some really fucking cool ones. And a lot of them have like the most metal names possible. You have like the Sire of Doom, the Gilded King, the Hope Shroud, the Litany of Destruction, which is like so close to a Megadeth song, like just right there. Specifically, I want to talk about the Hope Shroud because as a Sisters fan, I really like this one too. So Hope Shroud back in the day was a knight who made an oath to Goj Vandire. You know, the Goj Vandire during the Age of Apostasy, who was a awful person. He promised Goj Vandire that he would kill Sebastian Thor, the really chill dude who took over after Goj Vandire was too busy to die. After Goj Vandire's death, he decided, like, fuck all this. Fuck Sebastian Thor. Fuck all the sisters. I hate them. I'm gonna swear vengeance. And so, his mission is to wipe out every single sister battle in the universe. And in fact, he hasn't succeeded, obviously, but he actually killed 6 canonist superiors of each like major order of the Sisters of Battle. So like, he's getting some work in, he's putting in those hours. But yeah, that's at least on the surface some of the really fun stuff that's included in the Chaos Knights, because their flavors, like their flavor text is so good. They have such fun little lore tidbits. Just read through the wikis, read about the Dreadblades, find stuff you like. There's something there for everybody, honestly. But anyways, we're just gonna go right to the rules. So honestly, The Chaos Knights rule-wise are so much cooler than Imperial Knights. Significantly better. There's so many fun little things you get. First off, you get dread stuff. Now dread is like using the morale and leadership phase, but it's actually effective in-game. Because normally the morale phase is a fucking joke. But primarily there's a lot of rules that make you make dread tests, which is your opponent has to roll 2d6s and then have to get over their leadership of their units, which can be affected in many, many ways. I think you can compound morale hits so you can subtract the leadership by like 3, and they have to roll under their leadership. It's, you know, there's a lot of really cool abilities that are surrounding that part of the game. And one of the really cool abilities they get is the Harbinger of Dread ability, which is real big, honestly, which is primarily done through this tree. You have 3 trees. You have Doom in the middle, Despair, and Darkness. Now, each of this works as a tree where you start in the middle, and you can go left or right. You cannot hop from left all the way to right. So essentially just follow this tree, and each phase will actually give you different buffs and different abilities that are worth looking into. Be careful when deciding which one's which. You get once per phase and all those rules. This is just phase 1 and 2 of the game. I'm not going to show you the entire tree because it's really fucking big. Go to Wikipedia to read that, or pick up the Knight Codex. But I think the absolute strongest part of Chaos Knights is the sheer amount of abilities you get. There are so many. There are so many buffs you get, so many upgrades, demonic packs you can make. There's so many things you can get. Other than that, your main decision is, do you want to be an Iconoclast Knight House or an Infernal Knight House? Iconoclast gives you a really fun melee buff. Infernal gives you a demonic surge table that you can either roll for randomly and take a mortal wound to get, or take D3 mortal wounds and pick which one you want. Or depending on which house you pick, you might get some amplified versions of those. Or you can just be extra fun and throw in a Dreadblade on top of your Knight House, which then gives you another list of big abilities to choose from, based on if you're Iconoclast or if you're Infernal. And that's the theme for Chaos Knights. There are so many decisions you're making. There are so many compounding abilities, demonic packs, demonic upgrades. It's a lot. But I'm gonna make one decision right for you. Bring a Knight Abominant. They're stupid powerful because they're newer, so they're better. Their model looks dope. They're a Psyker with a unique psychic tree that's all really fun. And here's a combo I'm gonna make for you. It's really fun and goofy, because it's what I'm doing. So you give them the Tzeentch keyword, and you pick Mirror of Fates, which gives you just some fun abilities, but there's one key part. Once you get favored, which means you kill 10 wounds of something, kill models and you tally up all the wounds to get 10. You are favored. You get an amplified version of the ability that once per turn lets you change any of those dice to a 6. Now, the reason this is so good on the Knight Abominant is because you have a gun that affectionately is called the Casino Cannon. Every time you get a 6 on the hit roll, it does 3 mortal wounds, which is stupid strong, a way to clear out a big character that you need dead, a way to clear out an annoying unit that you need dead. It's just effective, because mortal wounds, on top of that damage, mortal wounds right at the end, is just stupid powerful. So yeah, I recommend building for that. That's what I'm doing. But anyways, that's about gonna wrap it up. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, do that stuff, join my membership. See ya.